Go.
Real YouTubers collab with Wolfey to show him my Snom.
Very nice. Okay, cool. What's going on, everybody? Today I have my good friend Trey. What's going on, Trey?
Hey, what's up?
Trey, you might know him as DaWoblefet, a Pokemon player, competitive Pokemon player, Pokemon researcher as well, known for getting like very into the nitty gritty in a lot of Pokemon mechanics. If you've been watching the channel for a while, you're definitely familiar with Trey. We've had him on several times, and we're actually doing something that we did a while ago. However, I think the concept is so cool, and we haven't done it in Generation 8 yet, and so I figured, maybe we show all the new faces that we've gotten familiar with the channel, show them kind of some of the really cool stuff about Pokemon here today. So Trey has very generously done he's done the entirety of the work that goes into this because it's a very specific setup. Also like requires a ton of math. So Trey, you want to kind of give us a little bit of a backstory explaining how what we're going to do works?
Sure. So what we're doing here today is relying on the invincibility of Snom. So Snom is the cutest Pokemon ever, and so it is unbeatable. Name one Pokemon that beats Snom. You can't do it. Certainly not Charizard, I'll tell you that much. But we're going to be taking advantage of mechanics. Some of them are intentional. Some I'm not quite sure are still intentional or not, called damage overflow. We had explored this last generation pretty thoroughly. We had documented some things, like, for example, we documented that damage can't go over like 65,536, or excuse me, 535. We documented that for each individual calculation, you can't go over like 4.2 billion something.
Okay.
We expected that some of these limitations were in place because of the 3DS itself, like the hardware that the 3DS was using was forcing these restrictions to be in place. But that's not the case anymore with the Switch. So, and these mechanics still remain. So we're a little bit curious about that, but nevertheless, it still works, and it lets us do lots of different cool stuff. We're actually going to be combining two different types of damage overflow today into one, and that's going to lead into a very interesting result with our friend Snom.
Cool. So actually, just so you guys are aware, I know the general idea behind damage overflow, but I don't know anything else. Trey just traded me the Pokemon. He's gonna tell me what to do, and but I don't know the result here, so I'll be surprised along with the rest of you. So I'm looking forward to seeing what you cooked up.
Let's go ahead and get our battle going. So
yeah.
I'm searching on 0011111111.
Cool.
And we're doing doubles.
Yeah, of course.
I can't imagine trying to set this up in singles.
It would be very difficult, I think. Cool, that was fast.
It probably could be done, but it'd be really hard.
Yeah, I wonder... Yeah, I mean, I'll have to see what you actually go through here.
Yeah. Alright, I will decide the rules. My rules, my house.
Excellent. Oh, I didn't put the Pokemon in the battles team. I'll do that now.
Yeah, that's alright. As long as they're not in your party, you should be good to be able to set
it up.
They're
not in my party.
But yeah, I also want to give a shout out to fellow biomechanics researcher Sadistic Mystic. Sadistic Mystic originally did the research for damage overflow in Generation 7, and he was kind enough to help me through the setup for today's video. I have a pretty good idea of how to search for some of these numbers, but some of them can be a little bit complicated even for me. You have to basically write programs to track down the numbers. And so I always have to make sure my math is just quite right. And sometimes I'll end up with numbers just like, well, that one did 16,000 damage. And it's just like, that's not going to help. So I always have to make sure they are orderly and do what they're supposed to do.
Thank you very much for the help. We definitely appreciate it. All of us here at the Wolfey VGC channel. I always like when people say all of us here because it's a very wholesome kind of saying. It's like, oh, it's not just me. There's a whole team of people, but in my case, I'm the only. Well, you and I are the only people involved in this one. Or are you actually going to use all 5 Pokemon?
Yes, I need all 5 of my Pokemon in order to bounce things around.
Okay.
The only way we could have reduced this down a little bit more was if Smeargle was in the game, and I'm glad Smeargle isn't in the game, so I'll gladly take a couple more Pokemon to use.
Okay.
Yep. So
my Alakazam is the one with the checked button. Skitter Smack.
Yes,
Eevee.
it is. Yep.
Skill swap into Eevee.
Yep, and I'm going to go ahead and Fake Tears Snom and Forest Curse.
I see.
Well.
So Trey sent me a script, so I can see what my moves are each turn, but I can't see. I mean, I'm only looking one turn at a time.
Yeah. using skill swap. Also, I realized after I created the setup that there could be one hiccup that could happen in this.
Okay, what's that?
I forgot Scare Smack can miss.
Oh.
And I rely on it. I rely on it missing for us to
That's a cool
get
animation.
our pressure to a turn. But we can always just we can kill some turns if stuff messes up.
I can snore, right?
Yeah, you've got snore, and so you can kill lots of turns.
Okay, I hit.
Yeah, there you go. I love this animation.
Oh, I've never seen that. That's amazing.
I know, it's so cool, isn't it?
I want to do like a top 10 best animations in Sword and Shield. I feel like that should definitely be one of them.
That could be a cool one. Yeah, I like Hyper Beams. I think Hyper Beams.
Hyper Beams is sick. Hyper Beams is really good. I like No Retreat. That one's really good, and I like Waterfall.
Yeah,
Those are the ones that come to mind. Okay, now this turn, skill swap Charizard and Snore.
Yep. I am going to scratch your Alakazam, and I think I just snort, don't I? No, I skill swap into Alakazam. All right. Okay.
Cool. So now Charizard has adaptability.
Yes, exactly. And adaptability makes it so that Charizard's stab moves, instead of doing 1.5 times damage, will deal 2 times damage. So that will increase the power of Charizard's fire type attacks and flying type attacks, but we're going to be using a fire type attack here by ever so slightly much. And that'll be helpful. We're also using skill swap again here. I'm taking away Fluffy from this Wooloo.
And giving it Frisk. Not that that really matters.
Yep. Yeah. Well, Frisk is nice because it lets you see my item on Charizard. And you can see that my Charizard is holding the Scope
Lens. I see.
Yeah. Yeah.
I think I know what's going.
Yep, we're going to be using something very interesting with that item here in just a moment.
So I switched to Alchemy, and I Skitter Smack the Phantom.
Yep. And I will go ahead and Snore.
I like that you always use Snore for this.
Yeah.
I feel like it's optimal because like it doesn't have an animation, right? Like you can just protect, but yeah.
It's so quick.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I need to give Snom Fluffy. So we're going to be passing Fluffy here to Snom, and that will make Snom even weaker because Snom, at the moment, he is a bug and ice type. And he is also a grass type, too, because of Forest Curse.
I forgot about that.
So we are giving him lots of different weaknesses right now to fire. And Fluffy has another effect as well. So Fluffy has 2 effects to its ability. It will have the damage of contact moves, but it will double the damage of fire type moves. And that downside here is actually going to be an upside for us in our setup. So I like to check button into Colossal here. And Colossal is going to additionally help in this setup because I'm actually going to Tar Shot.
Oh, Tar Shot.
Even weaker.
Oh my god, I forgot about this. Okay, Decorate and Skitter Smack into Charizard?
You Skitter Smack the Colossal.
Oh, I'm sorry.
I will...
Skitter Smack Colossal. Decorate Charizard.
Okay.
I hope you're not Flame Body.
Alright, Decorate.
Okay, +2. So Charizard's now +2, and my Snom is 32 times weak to fire? Did I count right? 4 times naturally.
It's 4 times naturally, it's another 2 times from Forest Curse, and it's another 2 times from Tar Shot. So it's properly what would happen in the
and Fluffy. We didn't count Fluffy, did we?
And Fluffy as well.
So 32.
If effectively 32 here, and that makes it a big multiplier for fire type damage. Right now, Charizard could sneeze and knock out Snom, or so you'd think. Don't get too cocky. All right, and I think I go into... Oh, I said on my notes Passimian, but I made it a Hitmonlee. I just picked a Pokemon that had Fling in my box. It doesn't really matter what it is.
Right. I assume you're going to fling the Lancet Berry.
Yes, I am.
So now I Skitter Smack the Charizard?
Yep, and you also decorate Charizard.
Yep.
That will effectively make it so Charizard is at +3 attack, or special attack. We don't care about special attack.
Oh, Skitter Smack lowers special attack. I thought it was... I wasn't even reading what it said. I just assumed it was defense. Oops. Okay, so we want Charizard to be at +3.
Yep.
And the nice thing here is that this is all very specific math. Like, every single... Like, this is... I remember when you showed me this the first time, like, it was like pages and pages of just, like, calculations to get to this point.
It very much is. And it was the same way for this setup as well.
Mm-hmm.
We were actually relying on a different setup in Generation 7 that I never showed on the channel.
Oh, really?
We modified it. Oh, we missed. Oh, well, I think that's okay because I think you have a Snore turn upcoming.
Okay.
I think we're on turn 6, aren't we?
Yes.
Yeah, so you can fake tier Snom and you can skitter smack my
again.
Charizard.
Just make sure I did that. Skitter smack Charizard, fake tiers Snom.
Yep, and that's okay because we're nearly to the end of our setup. We're almost done with all the things that we have to do to get prepared.
Okay.
Look at how sad Alchemy is.
Huh, fake tiers actually has an animation if you target your partner now. You know how like normally when you target your partner you don't get an animation?
Yeah, certain moves have that animation. For example, Helping Hand is an obvious one that does. There's lots of different ones that they have a special, they would call it a flag, but a special variable in the game that would let you know, okay, this move happens to do that.
And now we are to the point. Right?
Yep, you snore both this turn because this turn we're attacking.
Oh.
Yeah, this turn we're attacking. So let's go ahead and clarify what we've done up to this point.
Yeah, please.
So we've used fake tiers on the Snom twice.
So
Snom already has a very low special defense. And so by lowering it just to -4, we've already made it so it only has 1 special defense. So it is very, very low. Charizard is at +3 special attack. I believe its current number right now is 555, something along those lines.
And it always crits.
Yeah, it always crits because of a scope lens and because it has the Landsat berry. It ate the Landsat berry. It is has adaptability.
Yeah.
So it has boosted fire type attacks. We have what else?
Tar Shot, grass typing.
Yeah, we have Tar Shot. Yep.
Fluffy.
All that stuff. All that stuff on Snom. And so poor Snom, you think he's about to get roasted, right?
I do. I mean, this is like one of the strongest moves you can do in all of Pokemon, right?
I know. It's like really, really strong. I mean, Charizard isn't level 100, but I mean, it's level 99. You know, that's pretty darn close. So this is pretty good, I'd say.
There's pretty much no way a level 1 Snom should survive. Wait, that's Trace. I think there might be a bug here.
A bug here?
Well, Snom. Something's very strange, but it seems like Snom didn't take any damage.
Didn't take any damage, Wolf?
Yeah, that's what it looked like to me.
It didn't take any damage at all.
Not even a single
because
point.
Snom is invincible. Name one Pokemon that can beat Snom. You cannot do it.
Okay, cool.
All right. Oh, by the way, this G-Max Wildfire is based off of Blast Burn.
Okay, so this is like the strongest fire type move outside of like the G-Max Cinderace.
Yeah, exactly. And if you think this was just a glitch, this only happens one time. Well, do I have something to show you?
So why don't you explain to the people how this works? Because we've kind of alluded to it, but we haven't explicitly stated it.
Yeah, so we're actually, like I say, we're combining 2 different types of damage overflow here. So what I've done is
damage
basically
overflow? Because lots of people probably won't understand what that is.
Damage overflow is taking very, very, very high values, and they roll over to very, very low values. You could think of it as a restriction on how computers work in general. Computers are limited by their by certain space that they're allocated. They can only hold numbers so large. So say I have a number that's assigned, and I can say, okay, you can hold numbers from 0 to 15. They like to count 0 usually in computers. So they can go from 0 to 15. So what happens if you take 15 plus 1? Well, if you've only assigned the computer to only count from 0 to 15, then what it'll do is it'll loop back around, and it'll come back to 0. So it'd do 15 plus 1, and instead of being 16, it would loop back around to 0.
Because it doesn't know that 16 exists, because it can only count to 15. Right?
Exactly. And in a similar way, the game here can only count to a very, very high number, something in the area of 4.2 billion. For your technically minded audience, that would be 2 to the 32 minus 1. That is it's a typical unsigned int. And if I use that word, I can't even remember if I use that word right. But anyway, it doesn't matter because that 4.2 billion is really, really big. And so what we've done is we've shot way past it. I think we shot somewhere in the 26 billion range.
Oh my goodness.
If I recall correctly. And so the game loops around several times in order to account for this. Also, our Gmax is over, but we're not done yet. We're gonna keep blast burning for a while. Same base power, so it works just fine. We've got lots of these just to prove that again. This isn't a one-off thing. So this damage overflowed to a really, really large number. But surprisingly, that actually wasn't enough. That overflow in and of itself wasn't sufficient to produce the result that we're getting here. Because typically in Pokemon, there's a check set in Pokemon, and it says, you always have to do at least 1 damage. That's what it says. It says you always have to do at least 1 damage. And I think every single time here, we've only done 0 damage.
Yeah, that's correct.
And this setup actually can produce a 1 damage roll 1/16th of the time. But 15/16ths of the time it'll produce 0. So that's why it's producing 0 so often. But we are looping around. So we looped past our 4.2 billion number. We looped past that several times, and we looped around to another number that gets cut off. This is explicitly defined by the game. No matter how you look at it, this is definitely the game saying it wants to do something. So the game says, even though each individual calculation can't exceed 4.2 billion, the ending result can never be higher than 65,535.
Okay.
And so what we've done is we've basically concocted a setup that makes it so all of the damage rolls, more or less, land on some sort of multiple of 65,536. And again, that's very, very complex. But generally, to summarize here, what's going on is we're looping around basically again, but this time, instead of looping around with our 4.2 billion number, we're looping around with our 65,000 number. And because we're doing this looping around, the game is like, well, I don't really know how to handle this, so it just does 0 damage. Which I think is hilarious.
So we just confuse the game so much that it doesn't know what to do, so it gives us 0?
Yeah, it just gives us 0.
That's so
I shouldn't
funny.
say confused. It doesn't really get confused. It's just basically it just stops. It's like I'm done. I'm not going to do anything more here. If you really want this,
that's hilarious. Yeah, I was wondering how it did 0 because you said like it's almost always guaranteed to do 1. So this like just by overwriting the check for the
we're basically overriding the check. We're the check for the loop-de-loops with 65,000 occurs after the check for making sure something is 1 damage.
Oh, so I see. Order of operations, baby.
Yeah, basically that. And so the particular order here is what's causing the mess up. And I'm going to run out of blast burn PP here soon.
Let's do one more turn because I feel like we've
I hope we've established the point.
I wanted to make sure we explained it because like it's definitely confusing and like you had to explain this to me I think a couple of times before I really got a handle on how it works. But it's such a cool concept. Like, I hope this one does 1 damage.
I find it very, very interesting as well. For your folks who are interested in learning more, I will have a comment in the comment section. I'm sure Wolf will pin it or love it or something like that. I will go through the technical details of how it goes from step by step, how we get to 0 damage, so you can see that as we go along. But yeah, this is pretty mathy stuff. I believe last time I collaborated with you on this topic, I had a nice PowerPoint for you, but I do not.
I think so. That's okay. That's okay. I think this is like quite a good explanation.
Yeah. Hopefully this is sufficient for you guys to show, and I will do this just for fun. Actually, you know what? Snom is invincible.
Yeah. There's no point. You can never beat me.
I can't beat Snom.
Yeah.
Snom is powerful. He's Snom-nipotent.
That was sick.
That is damage overflow, guys. This is how to make your Snom invincible. Never lose to Charizard again.
Well, the thing is, like, it's like every single stat value, like the EVs and IVs and everything were built in a specific way. Like there wasn't a lot of room for variance here. Trey had to do like a lot of work to get this one running. So, yeah, cool. Well, I mean, do you have anything else to say, Trey? Because I feel like we kind of covered everything that I was hoping to.
No, I think we have everything good here. I hope you guys enjoyed. And remember, Snom is invincible.
Where can the people follow you, Trey? Because you do a lot of cool stuff with mechanics, and I'm sure there's going to be people who didn't know, like, this stuff is cool because, like, this is a whole world of Pokemon that, like, people watching me, like it's not something that I'm good at, right? It's not something that I even fully understand. Like, when I have a mechanics question, I go to Trey. I'm like, hey, Trey, how does this very niche, specific interaction work? And Trey almost always knows the answer. So I'm sure there's lots of people who are interested in learning more. So if you want to share where people can kind of follow you and learn more, please feel free.
Sure. So probably the place that I post mechanics most commonly will be on my Twitter. You can find me there at twitter.com/DaWoblefet. I'm also a real YouTubist, but not nearly so much as I used to be. I have a full-time job now.
Yeah.
But I do post from time to time, and you can find old mechanics videos. Lots of stuff from Generation 7 to 8 remained unchanged, so you can still learn from that. And also, if you're interested, you can find me on smogon.com on the forums. I post very regularly in the Battle Mechanics research thread. So I post research there about about various different interactions in the game. So you can find me at those different places if you'd like to learn more.
Awesome. Well, yeah, and when you post the math, please make sure to include that stuff as well. Make it a little easier for people. But yeah, thank you so much for being on. I'm sure people enjoyed this. I just think it's such a cool thing to show off, and something that I would have never heard about if we weren't friends. So thank you very much for sharing your expertise and for doing all the work to get this up and running, because it's so cool. But yeah, with that being said, thanks to Trey for being on. Thank you everyone for watching, and we'll see you soon for another video. Goodbye.